Hey, everybody. Live on Midgard Musings. Excuse the mess behind me. Let me go ahead and share this around. Hopefully people that are let's see. All right, Skyly Sullivan, Patrick, hello, hi, and welcome. Guys, if you don't mind, share the live stream around. Can you guys hear me okay? I know the visual thing is a little bit laggy. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. Can you hear me okay? Is everything all right as far as that goes? Sharing good. Excellent. Because I think you should be able to hear me. This whole choppiness of the live stream or whatever, like that's just, such as Friday night on Midgard Musings. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. Share the live stream around on all your social media platforms if you don't mind. Thank you, Skyly. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, everybody who's watching, who's tuning in. I got a little bit of so I'm working. So here's the deal. The last live stream that I did on YouTube, I did when I did it last time, and it don't like it. I don't know why. So I'm working off my personal PC, which is literally what PC means, personal computer, instead of my workstation. And this is the way it goes. Blood Pagan, hail, watching while working. Well, awesome, Blood Pagan. Where are you watching from? And again, it's a little choppy on the visual stuff, so you'll just have to kind of that you've got on your mind. I am your ears. I am open to receive your discussions. Hey there, Jace. Hail and welcome. Hello, John. You guys are going to have to excuse me because my webcam is up here and I'm reading the comments on the live chat. So you'll just have to pardon moi. And I'm dealing with a lot, like, because the PC that I'm working off of to share all this, very, very slow, not fast at all. It's a Dell 30, still trying to upload there. Who else we've got here? Watching from, hold on a second. Let me see if I can read this. Hey, Zach. Hey, Jay. Let's see here. Watching from, is that Stradbro PC thing? Not ideal. I've been working all day. I've been at work since, well, 12 hours ago. I've literally not left what you see behind me here for the last 12 hours. So you'll have to excuse me. Hey, Godfrey Bear, what's up? I know where you're calling from. I know where you're watching from, listening from, whatever. Great to see you. When is the time to begin celebrating Yule? Patrick Walsh, great question. Nightshade, long time since we last spoke. Yeah, man, Nightshade checking in. I actually got to be, big shout out to Nightshade over here in the live chat right now, everybody. I did an interview with Nightshade quite a while ago, and super, super awesome podcast. You can follow him on Twitter, YouTube, and stuff like that. Check him out. Does a lot of great stuff for the pagan and heathen communities, not just Germanic heathenry. Patrick, I'll get to your question here in just a minute. But thank you so much for tuning in and watching Nightshade. Really appreciate all the love. I'm not very good at Twitter. I definitely see all the shares and stuff that you share on the platform there. So thank you so much for that. Have an address for you soon, Godfrey Bear. Yes, I do. I owe you a rune set. I remember that. I'm going to be doing some rune sets for trade or something with Matthew Petrie over at Odin's Beard Woodworking here sometime soon. Got a bail, Blood Pagan. We'll be here. That's Blood Pagan. I think you're in Australia, if I remember correctly. That's the same Blood Pagan as I remember from last time, but we'll be here for a while. Flatline to Beatline is the podcast. Yes. Flatline to Beatline. Check them out. Hello, Dean. What's up? Hail and welcome. Again, sorry for dipping out of the camera view. This is the best thing that I could do for right now for the Friday night live stream. The lighting is horrible. Got a really good camera, but it doesn't fit well with the system that I'm working off of, the operating system. But anyway, Patrick Walsh, get back to your question. Would like to ask, when is the time to begin celebrating Yule? And that is a loaded question because that's going to depend on who you ask, right? So I'll give you my answer. My tribe, our tribe, the tribe that the Hlyridi folk, it doesn't roll off the tongue so easy, but the people of the Thundering Storm, Hlyridi folk, which is a very small tribe here, just my nearest and dearest right now. Because of COVID and whatnot, we haven't been able to do a whole lot of tribe building stuff. We are observing Yule on the first full moon after the winter solstice. So if that makes sense, what it is it's his historical approach to the observation of Yule. So our tribe is going to be observing Yule in January, at the end of January. A lot of pagans nowadays and in modern times take a very modern approach to Yule celebration. So they will do it right around the end of December, focusing on the 12 nights of Yule custom. But our tribe focuses on a little bit more of a historical approach. So we are doing we are going to observe Yule for 3 nights. The actual Yule feast is going to be observed at the end of January on that full moon cycle. So when you're asking when is the time to start celebrating Yule, that's going to depend on your own customs, your own tribal customs, if you have them, and your traditions and things like that. Happy to answer any more questions about that, so feel free to ask. Also feel free, while everybody here who's listening and watching, to support Midgard Musings by subscribing to the channel. Anything that I post on my YouTube channel usually has the Linktree link posted for the Patreon page, the Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, all that other kind of fun stuff. The Anchor podcast, which I've been recently getting back into more recently. So please subscribe, send your super chat donations if you want to here in the live chat. All of that is appreciated. Any sort of monetary donations are appreciated, and we thank you for that. Not required by any means, but it's all there. My system is so slow that it's not even going to be worth me trying to post stuff in the live chat. But you can go to the Linktree link that's in the description area of all of my videos and see the various ways that you can support this channel through that. So listener support is greatly appreciated. As again, it's the biggest support that you can provide. Subscriptions, sharing the videos. Again, if you are watching this right now, share this video out on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you're watching from, Facebook, that kind of stuff. Share it around. Just share it around. Get some people in here to listen and watch and join. So, historically based Yule, I'm just reading your comment here, Nightshade. And again, I'm sorry for having to dip out of the camera frame. But basically what Nightshade is saying is that historically based Yule is celebrated on the full moon after the new moon, after the winter solstice. You are absolutely 100% correct, which is when our tribe, the Hlyridi folk, are observing Yule. So January 28th is actually the full moon. You're absolutely correct. But because it's on a Thursday and because we live in modern times and most people nowadays don't get off on a Thursday night, well, you might get off, depending if you're lucky or not. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's like off from work. We're going to observe our Yule feast on that Saturday. So the third night, so the 28th is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that final night. Yule was historically, pre-Christian times, was observed and celebrated on a 3-night long basis. So we are going to do our Yule thing on the Saturday night. We're going to have a feast. We're going to do bloat. We're going to do sumbel. games, gift exchange, that sort of thing. It's going to be fun. So that's what we're going to do. Yes, Nightshade, you are 100% correct. Yule is traditionally 3 days. The 12 days of Yule, 12 nights of Yule is a very, very modern approach, very modern construct. If it works for you and your tribe, I have nothing against it. Just saying that for a historical approach, Yule is not at the same time as the modern Christmas celebrations, which is so modern, which is so regularly and so like casually observed. So it's not the same thing. Close, but not quite. Let me say hello to everybody else. Yeah, Nightshade heard that. Yeah, there we go. So yes, that's what Nightshade is saying over at Flatline to Beatline. You can take that to the bank. It is historically backed of what he's saying over there. So thank you for commenting and weighing in on that. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you are having a wonderful night, evening, morning, wherever you are in Midgard. Cheers and skull to every one of you. I want to try to get into more of these regular, YouTube type podcasts. The anchor podcasts that get published all over various platforms are a bit more of like just a rambling sort of thing. But this is out here to, answer questions, talk about anything that you've got on your mind, heathen or non-heathen related, like I said, again, excuse the mess behind me over here on this side of things, just a little bit cluttered. The backdrop, my altar back there, it's organized, but it's in an organized state of disarray. Some things over here, over on this side of the screen that you're seeing, because we've got our main living room area set up for the holidays and things like that. So some of the things that are normally in the living room get pushed back in here to this office storage. It's my office. It's a spare bedroom, but it's an office. So we make do. We make do with what we got. This little hearth of ours, this little home of ours. Want to help you move, Godfrey? Yeah, man. Fly me over to Canada or Vancouver or wherever you are. I forget. Fly me up there. I'd love to come see you. I would love to actually experience winter, real winter, for once. And it's crazy because I grew up in New York, born and raised, and have experienced, winter, like feet of snow, 2-3 feet of snow on the ground. And I was like, I can't wait to get away from that, Moved down to Tennessee back in 2006. Been here ever since, of course. And I've never, since I've lived in Tennessee for the last almost 15 years, seen a snow that reminds me of anything back home in New York. So I'm ready. I'm ready to experience that. I tell my wife all the time, like, can we just go away for like 2-3 weeks of the year to like New York or somewhere, Colorado? I don't know. Like, let's just rent somewhere and just stay there for a while and just be buried in snow for a month. And I never thought I'd say that. I never thought I'd want to experience that again. Ontario. Yeah, send me over to Ontario. I'll help you move. I will help you move. Record some content up there. Yeah, that'd be freaking awesome, man. I'd love it. It would be nice, Patrick, Man, I never thought I'd say it, right? Because I used to grow up shoveling snow all the time, and I was like, I'm tired of this snow. Get me out of here. Moved to the South. Haven't seen it and felt it in so long. I'm like, I wanna just be like in the snow. I want to be snowed in, especially now with the whole, COVID thing or whatever. Like, there's no reason to get out. So being snowed in ain't no big deal. Hey there, John Deason, doing great work. He says, recently discovered myself and the podcast from Tennessee also. And from what I've gathered, you're close to me. Well, hey, so that's John Deason commenting in the live stream. From what you gathered, I am close to you. Depends on close. What is your idea of close, John, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a New York guy. I'm a New York born and raised, and I moved to Tennessee. And when I hear people from the South say you're close or it's going to be a little while, the perception of time and space and things is a little bit off, right? Because when I say, you're close to me, that means I could, drive an hour or less and be at your doorstep. I talk to a colleague of mine every day at work, and he's like, "Give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes, and I'll reach out to you, or I'll touch base with you." 5 minutes later, right? Well, 35 minutes after the fact, or nearly an hour after the fact, he still hasn't reached out. So I'm like, you know what? You're from Kentucky. You're from the South. Your 5 minutes is my like 5 minutes. When I hear 5 minutes, that means 5 minutes, not an hour from now. So if you're close and you're like, oh, I'm in the state of Tennessee, well, you could be 8 hours away from me. Oh yeah, Clarksville. Okay, so that is close. You you are quite literally close. You are within an hour of where I reside in Tennessee. So John Deason, shout out to you. Thank you so much. Anybody that's listening or watching, 9 live viewers. Can we get to the double digits? If you're watching, if you're listening, share this out, man. Get some more people in here. Let's talk. Let's have a nice, Friday night chat. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what's going on in your life. Skyly Sullivan with the laugh emoji with the crying of the tears. Am I making you cry? Am I making you laugh? I don't know what's going on. That's what we do out here on Midgard Musings. We just heathen it up. Heathen it up. Am I right? Yeah, skull indeed. I hate the fact that I have to keep dipping out of the frame of the camera. That's so rude. My apologies, everybody, but I'm trying to read the comments and stuff. Cody Parrish, who says, skull. Yes, skull to you as well, friend. Thank you for watching. Anybody that's just tuning in, if you want to donate to the channel monetarily, you can do so through Super Chat. You can also do so through PayPal. All of my videos in the description area have the link tree link posted. Go ahead and check it out. See what fits you. Yeah. Moving back to Northern Ontario. Sorry, guys. I'm just catching up on all the comments here, making sure that I acknowledge what needs to be acknowledged. Seasons are all sorts of wacky. I'm just reading Patrick. Mark Kussler. Greetings from Pollock Pines, California, in the money. Oh, snowy. Sorry. In the snowy part of California. Let me tell you a funny story. So, hey, Mark, hail and welcome. I don't remember you from any of the previous live streams. So if this is your first time, hail and welcome. Thank you so much. But let me tell you a funny story about my experience in the snowy parts of California. So at one point in my life, I used to drive all over the country for work, and I was not a truck driver. I drove all over the country for work, and I was not a trucker, not a truck driver. So if you can guess what I may have been, props to you. If anybody who knows me for any length of time may know what I used to do for work. But I literally would put about 5,000 miles a week under the tires of a vehicle for traveling purposes. And I was going across I-70 one year. It's about April or May, from Nevada to California, right? And I think that was like the Reno area. Pretty sure it was the Reno area. Going across I-70 into like the Truckee area, the Donner Pass, as it's called, right? April or May. They shut down the interstate, would not let vehicles pass. Excuse me. Would not let vehicles pass without chains on their tires. Hey, Matt Petrie from Odin's Beard Woodworking, joining the live stream. Hail and welcome. Traveling across I-70 from Nevada to California, going through like Truckee, the Donner Pass, right? I saw more snow in May during that traverse across the Donner Pass, across that mountain pass over there. Saw more snow than I've seen in my life. And again, I'm from New York, right? I grew up with feet of snow every year, 3-4 feet of snow sometimes on the ground. I saw more snow going across that area of the country than I have my entire life. True story. Just a tad, Skyly Sullivan. us Southern guys can't be responsible for the time telling. You're right, John. You're right. Um, but yeah, man. Um, First time on the live, Mark. Well, cool, man. Um, really appreciate you tuning in, and it's great seeing you here. Thank you so much. Um, Recreational pharmaceuticals. It was not recreational pharmaceuticals. That was not the purpose of my traveling. Um, it actually was. He says our snow is usually later in the year, and it can dump. Yeah, it did. It actually did, man. So what I used to do was prisoner extradition. You guys ever seen like Con Air? Con Air is like not the real deal, but I'm talking like prisoner extradition, prisoner transports. I drove vehicles and transported uh, prisoners across the country. So prisoner extradition was the line of work that I was in, and that's why I've seen all of the 50 states except for three. I have not been to Alaska, I have not been to Idaho, and I have not been to Montana. I have been to every, did I say two or three? I've been to all of the 50 states except for three. Yeah. And I've also not been to I've also not been to any like U.S. territory, so I haven't gone to like Puerto Rico or anything like that. But I've been to Hawaii, all of the lower 48, except for Idaho and Montana, and I've not been to Alaska. So I was actually in Canada briefly by accident because the transport that we were on, we were up in like the Buffalo area, and the guy that was driving accidentally got on the bridge to go across to Canada, and we got to like the customs area, and we were like, we made a wrong turn, we need to turn around. And they're like, what's going on over here? And we like showed our credentials and stuff. We're like, we're transporting inmates. We're not even supposed to be here. We need to go back to the U.S. And they're like, get out of here, go. we were like at the border, trying to just do a U-turn, like flip a U-turn or whatever. So, first time on a live, Connor Baran. Is that Baran? Was that Boram, Connor? Again, I'm looking down here at the live chat and trying to interact with you guys up here. But so first time, Connor, thanks so much for tuning in and watching. Hail and welcome. 14 live viewers, double digits, baby. You guys are awesome. Guys and gals are awesome all over the country, all over the world, wherever you're tuning in from, listening, watching. Thank you so much. And I hope that this microphone's not blowing out your eardrums. But man, it's Friday. Hell of a week. Hell of a work week. Glad to have you all here. Got to have you back on the show sometime in the new year. Nightshade, hit me up, dude. Hit me up. I will most certainly come back. Maybe we can work out a collab back and forth a bit. I love collaborations. I love that whole thing. You know, I've done collaborations with Eric Shervin a bunch of times, done collaborations with a couple other content, maybe not necessarily content creators yet, although I would love to. Got a couple in mind. Patrick Walsh, looking at you, some of the people that you've mentioned in our conversations, musical talents and things like that. Would love to do some collaborations there. And but yeah, Nightshade for sure. I would be happy to be on your show again, and maybe we can work something out for you to be on mine. We can do the whole Zoom thing. We'll figure it out. But yeah, definitely hit me up, please. Would love it. Rewatching Prison Break, Patrick. I've had some pretty dicey encounters, man. Over it was nearly a decade career of corrections and law enforcement combined. I've had a pretty dicey career. I've apprehended escapees. I've been involved in stabbings in prisons where, suicides, assaults, homicides, all that kind of stuff. I've seen some. You guys have watched Family Guy, right? I've seen some things, man, and some stuff. No lie. And I'm thankful to still be here to do stuff like this and talk with people and be out there with all of you fine folks in Midgard. So 1000B, good surprise, happy Friday. When I say 1000, it's 100. And whoever you are over there, it says good surprise, happy Friday. Well, good surprise and happy Friday to you too, friend. Thanks for watching. What am I sipping on? Patrick Walsh. I am sipping on scotch because scotch is good. Scotch and scotch. You guys listen to the podcast recently. I made a nod to old Ron Burgundy, Anchorman. I like scotch. Scotch. It's nothing fancy. It is not a top shelf scotch because I'm not a top shelf kind of guy. Although I can be. I can be a bottom shelf good time, or I can be a top shelf good time. It just depends, you know. So usually I'm just sipping on just middle of the road type stuff. But I do love the single malts and I do love the top shelf type stuff whenever I can afford it. So that is my song and dance. That is my thing, scotch. This is actually one of my favorites. This is the first bottle that I was gifted at last Yule, Highland Park. It's a 12-year. It's a single malt. And the funny thing about single malts, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware, is that there's different flavor profiles, right? You've got your Highlands, you've got your Spaysides, you've got your Isleys, okay? And this one right here, the Highland Park Viking Honor, blends a lot of various flavor profiles from different single malts. So you're going to get some flavor profiles of your Isleys, the smokiness, the peatiness. You're going to get that earthiness and sweetness from the Spaysides. You're going to get that kind of spiciness of the Highlands. You're going to get all kinds of things going on with the Highland Park Viking Honor. For anybody who's venturing into experimenting with single malt scotches, Highland Park 12-year, the Viking Honor, I highly recommend, and it's at a great price point. You're not going to drop more than $60 for a handle of that, which for a single malt, for a 12-year single malt, boy, that is a steal, let me tell you. So I recommend it. Not a sponsor, not a sponsor, but I highly recommend it. Depends on who's paying. Absolutely, Godfrey, Mr. Godfrey Barrett, depends on who's paying, because guess what? I've drank some phenomenal scotches that I've not paid a cent for, that are, you know, 14, 16, I think it was just like a 16-year. I think it was the one that I had. I didn't pay a cent for that, and it was $25 a sip, $25 a shot. You know, so for an ounce and a half, $25, and I got 2 of them, and I didn't pay a cent for it. But if you're so lucky and you're so fortunate to have that opportunity, then yeah, take advantage of it. Got a cool tin with scotch in it. The tin got me more excited than the scotch. Yeah, it is. Here, I'm going to show you guys, because I've had this is one of them that, as far as like being a collector of single malts, this is one that I am a absolute fan of. Talisker Storm. Okay, this is a Islay single malt, and let me just tell you a little bit about Isleys. Okay, if you don't like the smell of a campfire, if you don't like the taste of sea salt, if you don't like those sort of flavor profiles, then an Islay single malt is not for you. If you do like that sort of stuff, if you're willing to venture into that territory of flavor profiles, as I said before, start with your Highland Park Viking Honor, because there are some Islay flavor profiles incorporated into that. But this one right here, ladies and gentlemen, the Talisker Storm, is a beautiful Islay flavor. You got that. It's like, first of all, did you hear that? If I can hear that? That is the sound of money. Beautiful sound. Now, turn on your smell-o-vision. Okay? Turn on your smell-o-vision and get a whiff of that. Breathe in deep now. Breathe in deep. Right? So, if you're not familiar, smell-o-vision, it's a feature. You got to subscribe to the channel first before you get that smell-o-vision. Okay? So, subscribe to the channel, get your smell-o-vision turned on, and get a whiff of that. Right? It's almost like you're sitting on the seashore, burning a campfire, and you got some fruit sitting by the side. You know, you got some apples, or you got some pears or something like that, and you got the heat of the fire burning, and you get that seaside air blowing in your nostrils, and you got the fruit incorporated into the whole thing. Beautiful, beautiful aroma, and taste of it. The palate of it is just, it's great. I feel like when it comes to scotches, you know, like I am right at that point in my life where Islay's are just the cream of the crop, the cream of the crop. You get you some of that Randy Savage going on, right? The cream of the crop, yeah, the cream of the crop. That's what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Is that sea saltiness, that delicious, just getting excited just thinking about it. But that's not what I'm drinking tonight, because as you can see, there's not a whole lot left. But yeah, it is. It's amazing. Connor Hui from Ireland, if I remember correctly, says, "Hey Jesse." If I am remembering correctly, Connor, I'm probably mispronouncing the last name, but I remember one of the live streams that you were featured on. It was probably during like trivia night or something like that. Connor Hui from Ireland. Yeah, Ireland. I did a podcast the other day, and I was trying to do an Australian accent, and then I quit post haste. I quit like 37 seconds into the whole thing because I started venturing off into some weird Britain sort of rendition of an Australian accent. So I don't want to disrespect your Irish culture or whatever. And I myself have Irish ancestry, Irish and Scottish. Don't hate me for that. But the funniest thing that I can remember about the Irish dialect, I used to talk to a guy from Ireland, straight from Ireland, all the time, and the TH sound was never enunciated like Americans would say thunder or Thor or, you know, they, them sort of thing. The TH sound for him was always more like a t, right? So he would say thunder, tor, you know, that sort of thing, thing. So I don't know if that's a universal, you know, linguistic dialect or whatever for most Irish folks, but yeah, the thunder was like, "Are you talking about thunder?" He's like, "Yeah, thunder," you know, and I loved it. I loved listening to it. And funny thing, right? Like my dad is a carpenter by trade. He went through an apprenticeship, and that was what he's been his whole life, was a carpenter. And one of his the people who he apprenticed under was an Irishman. And the thing about that guy that my dad told me all the time was like, you couldn't understand a lick of English the guy would say, because it was so broken with the dialect, or with the, you know, like with the way he would say things. But as long as he worked with the guy, he's like, I finally, you know, after weeks and months or whatever working with him, he's like, I could understand. He said, but the speed of which he would say things, you know, and with the thick Irish accent, you know, the way he would say it, it was like anybody that just rolled up and started having a conversation wouldn't be able to last. He's like, you had to really spend some time with this guy. Hello, Kyra Taylor. First time crashing in the live stream. Kyra Taylor, awesome. Gonna give you the fist bump of the Thor's hammer. So there you go, Kyra, checking in from wherever. Thank you so much. First time crashing in the live stream. Hope you crash in on more of these, and I hope we can do some more of these sort of things. Fantastic live stream. Got 16 live viewers going on right now. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. Any questions that you have, anything about heathenry that you want to talk about? This is just, like I said, it's a Friday night here in the States for me. Long work week, and this is just kind of like a right, let the hair down, let the hair down, which I actually got trimmed last month. Got about 6 inches cut off of the old mane last month, but it's still hanging out there, you know what I mean? But man, just let the hair down, get to relax, and just whew, we're at the weekend. We're relaxing. We're chilling. We're talking about all kinds of things. You guys get to see this disaster of a zone that's going on behind me. It's real, and it's live, and it's boom. We're doing it. Olympia, Washington, man. Yeah, Washington, West Coast, Pacific West Coast. First of all, awesome state. Love Washington. Love Oregon. The whole Pacific West Coast, man. I could buy some property over there and just chill for several months of the year. I love the Pacific West Coast. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching from the Pacific West Coast. The West Coast is the best coast. Man, you know what? East Coast right here, New York, born and raised, Long Island, Riverhead, East. Riverhead. So here's the deal. If you guys don't know your geography, right? New York, right? But then there's this little blip of a piece of a property called Long Island where I'm from, and it looks like a fish. So if you were to kind of do like a number like this right here, everything from like the tips of my fingers right here over to where my hand is, that looks like Long Island, right? Well, guess what? Where I'm from, right here, Riverhead, right in they used to call it the crotch of the fish, because you got a fin. You got the North Shore and you got the South Shore. You got the Sound, and you got your, well, the Sound is actually up here from the North Shore to Connecticut, but you got your Bay Area, and you got your, anyway. This is me right here, Riverhead, East Coast. East Coast is East Coast, sleazy coast. I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but it is. The West Coast is the best coast. Your husband's from PA, Pennsylvania. Cool. My parents and where my folks moved from off of Long Island, we're kind of within 15 minutes of New Jersey and Pennsylvania, right? So you guys like watching The Office? Scranton, Pennsylvania, Dunder Mifflin, right? Hour and 15 minutes from Scranton, Pennsylvania. And by the way, I know that The Office wasn't filmed in actual Scranton, Pennsylvania. I'm aware, but I still love that show, and I watch it. And I've heard rumors that Netflix is going to take it down. And I'm just telling you guys right now, if there's anything on the news about this boy, turning up at the Netflix headquarters and wherever the heck they are, and punching somebody in the throat because they took Netflix took The Office away, or took, Netflix took Office off of their platform. This is why. I hope the rumors aren't true, because it's part of my therapy, man. It's part of what I do throughout the week. I get on there and I watch old episodes of The Office just to keep sane. Sean Rowland, hail and welcome, says two of you here in Ohio that are watching. You guys, I'm just, chatting away, keeping a view on the live stream. If you have something that you have that's an important question, consider using Super Chat to get it, pinged right away. But I will get to you as soon as I can. Anything that's, as much as I can. Keep track of the the chat going on here. Mark is asking, do I get much grief for being a heathen in Tennessee? No, I do not. No, I do not. Fortunately, the circle of people who I, keep company with are actually very heathen friendly or are heathen themselves. So, considering the fact that the part of this country that I'm in is largely considered the Bible Belt, right, of the country, I don't get any grief from my family, my wife's side of the family, or people who I associate with, which is fortunate. Nikki Slusher, hail and welcomes, has been gone for a while, had some injuries and stuff going on. Your daughter's been getting interested in some of your practices and super excited in teaching your 3-year-old the ways. Well, Nikki Slusher, that is amazing. I think that the focus on traditions and how we pass traditions down to our children and to our our descendants and things like that are absolutely a part of this whole heathen thing, right? The traditions that we know of were passed down to us from our ancestors. So in likeness, we do the same thing with our children and those who we you know our families and things like that. So that's really awesome. Really awesome. Glad to hear that. And thank you for tuning in and watching. Hope things are going well with you. Awesome stuff. Nightshade, know how to do things. Believe in a much needed discussion have to happen regarding the strong influence of Wicca and Christianity within heathenry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So funny thing is that there's a lot of bleed over from various religious practices, cultural practices, things like that. A lot of people try to incorporate things from various approaches. They cherry pick, take things from this, add it to here, take things from that, add it to here, and then next thing you know, it becomes its own thing. But yeah, there are various, there's nuances of Christianity, there's nuances of other pagan practices that end up in Germanic heathenry. But yeah, there that's a whole big discussion right there. Any tips for small personal offerings and practicing solitary? Connor Boren. Yeah, actually, so great question, by the way. Thanks for asking. I've actually done a video here on the channel for that kind of focuses a bit on a basic heathen ritual, how to perform a basic heathen ritual. Gives you some sort of blueprint on how to do a certain thing. Now, in terms of the in terms of tips or suggestions or whatever, my biggest thing is that for solitary practitioners, right? I understand where you're coming from, because for the longest time I felt solitary and I felt excluded or withdrawn from a larger collective of things. What I've come to learn over time is that the heart of heathenry and the backbone of heathenry, Germanic heathenry specifically, and this, Norse heathenry, that sort of thing, the backbone of it all exists and thrives at the tribal level with community, with a collective of people. If for whatever reason you're unable to connect in that sort of way and share in those sort of experiences, the individual approach, what you do specifically, solitarily, is going to fall more in the line of your individual cultic practices, which exists and has existed and just may not have been documented over centuries. Okay. So, for instance, what some people may do in their individual hearth cults, their individual cultic practices, the things that they do themselves, right? One may wake up every day and leave an offering, the first sip of coffee that they take before they, or the first cup of coffee, the first, you know, bite of food, whatever they may leave as a gift to their house whites, their husvitir, the spirit that the the house god, the house spirit, the house vitir. Uh, they may perform a gesture, they may perform a ritual of sort of leaving that first taste of something before they start their day to that figure. You can think of something like that. You can uh, perform an individual ritual or an individual bloat, individual sacrifice to the deity or the figure that you're trying to honor or venerate, in whatever way. The gesture, the intent behind it is what matters. How you do it, what you do specifically, is, as a solitary practitioner, is going to be entirely up to you. You know, where do you feel the what do you feel from the heart, right? Um, and there's a lot of folks out there, right? Patrick is saying, he's a solitary practitioner too. Connor Huey is maybe saying the same thing. A lot of people feel the same thing, and it's fine. It's totally fine. How you do it, what you do. Like I said, I've done a video on a basic heathen ritual, so it gives you some ideas, the instruments, the things that you can use for your ritual, for your pagan practices, an idea of what you can do to perform those specific rituals. But the intent behind it is what matters the most, right? The reason why you do what you do is more important than what you do, right? So everybody likes to ask, well, what do I offer to this god, or what do I offer to this goddess, or what does this particular figure of the sacred like? You know, I think a gift given in sincerity, regardless of what it is going to be received better and is going to be acknowledged better than, the gesture is going to be what's noticed more than the actual item. So everything about it is intent. What do you want to accomplish? What are you trying to accomplish, right? Offerings to whom? Land whites, gods. Mark is commenting on there. A lot of good dialogue going on, in the live chat. I hope that maybe what I've said and what's going on in the dialogue in the live chat is helping give you some insight there. Let's see, lean slightly to the more historic side, as in evidence but not full recon. Yeah. So Connor, what you're saying there is that's kind of me too, right? I draw a lot of my inspiration from historical things, right? The thing about it is that individual cultic practices and hearth cults and all that that side of things was not and has not been largely documented. So you have to develop it yourself. You have to come up with it on your own, as long as the intent is there. You know what I mean? The reason why you're doing what you're doing. So I hope that's helped. Hope that's given you some things to think about. Again, check out the video I've put on my channel here. My system works really, really slow when I'm live streaming, but you can go through my video catalog. It's how to perform how to perform a basic heathen ritual. Gives you some basic ideas of tools and things that you can use, right? If you want to lean more towards the historical side, the bloatane, all that kind of stuff. But the things that you use within your ritual, how you do it, is going to be developed strictly by you. And I think that's where the magic lies, is how we develop those traditions, how we develop those practices, that gets added to the well over time and shared out with those who are nearest and dearest to us. So the traditions that myself and the tribe who I'm tied with, the things that we do, that's going to be shared with those who are nearest and dearest to us. And the things that you do with yourself or the tribe that or the folks that you are nearest and dearest to are going to be shared with them. And that tradition is going to live on, through them. So just because I don't do the same thing you do or you don't do the same thing that I do doesn't make it wrong, right? It just makes it unique, and it makes it more specific to what you're trying to accomplish in the long run. Have I seen the Netflix Barbarians? Who is that? Chainmail. Yes, I have seen the Netflix Barbarians series. Yes, I have. Absolutely love it. Love it. The Battle of the Teutoburg Forest, as far as how it's attested to historically, I think that series on Netflix has captured a lot of the historic elements of it, right? It's supposed to be entertaining. It's meant to be something that get some viewers and things like that. But man, oh man, did they really try to retain some integrity when it comes to the historical parts of it. Absolutely love it. Yes, yes, yes. If you're not watching Barbarians on Netflix, or if you haven't yet, do so, right? If you know somebody who's got Netflix and you don't have it yourself, just ask for their credentials to log in, ask for their password or whatever. You gotta see it. It's amazing. Absolutely, 100%. Your eyes watered once they started speaking. Yeah, man, that old Germanic language and stuff. I feel you there. I feel you there 150,000%, if that's even a number, right? Nightshade says, have I seen a shift with heathens towards the Germanic path and away from the Norse path? It's an interesting question, Nightshade. So when you say Germanic, Norse, like there's some connection with what you're saying, and I think I know why you're defining the two, Germanic versus Norse. But the Norse kind of fall into a Germanic culture, right? The Germanic people, what became Old Norse, the language. Let's just get back to like historical stuff. Old Norse, that is a Germanic language. Old Norse comes from Proto-Indo-European Germanic languages, right? So Germanic approaches to heathenry, pre-Christian times. I think I've seen at least, and it may just be because of the audience that I tend to focus on. I tend to try and find a very invested audience in the historical side of things when it comes to Germanic heathenry. And that seems like an umbrella term for what we're talking about here. I hashtag a lot of my content with Asatru and pagan and heathen and things like that, just to boost the reach or whatever. But there is a notable difference, or notable separation with historical Germanic heathenry. You can be talking about Saxon heathenry. You can be talking about all that kind of stuff. So I personally have seen a bit of and it may just be because of like I said, because of the focus of the various social media groups that I'm in that are focused on historical heathenry, on the Germanic pre-Christian approaches to things. So me personally, yes, I may have seen that. Overall, I wouldn't feel comfortable saying that that's accurate. Like, like I'm just one person seeing a certain thing based on the focus of what I'm looking at. So maybe not. Um, we'll see you in a bit, Patrick. Thanks for tuning in. Continental versus Scandinavian, Old Saxony. Yeah, right. I kind of figured that's where you were going with it. Sweden, Norwegian heathenry are very much alike, and the Danish and continental are very similar. Yeah, names of things. You know what I mean? Wodan, Wotan, Odin, Dunar, Donar, Thor. Different names linguistically, etymologically speaking, for same or similar figures, right? I like the fact that people are taking an interest in getting back to what predates the Viking Age, that goes back even further, because it's so hard, right? Like, it's so hard to even get so much out of that era because it wasn't documented that well, right? Everything that people, when they first get into this practice and when they first get into this thing, and again, no, I'm not saying this with any sort of animosity. I'm not saying this with any sort of disdain or whatever. But like, everybody's all about the Viking Age, the Vikings, everything with the Havamal and everything with the Poetic Edda and everything with this and that's all like very, very focused, because that's when the Christian monks started documenting everything at that point in history. There's so much more. There's rabbit holes that you can go down there, and there's so much more that you can actually learn from the culture of the peoples at the time that predate all that. You know what I mean? I talked about it on a recent podcast where I was like, your nose is too buried in the bindings, of books. Well, the Havamal says this, and Heimskringla says that, and then the this and that, whatever, Volus, blah 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 blah. Awesome, great, glad you know it. You may be able to recite it in Old Norse or whatever better than I could. Where are you, like, where's the practicality? How are you learn? What are you learning as far as like the culture things? What are you doing? What are you actually out there doing on the grassroots level? How are you performing as a heathen in modern times? How are you cultivating traditions that echo on into eternity once your body is no longer here and once your voice is no longer heard, right? This body, what you guys see right now, this is going away eventually. This is going back into the mound eventually. My voice, my words, maybe they're heard for long after I'm gone. Maybe they're forgotten. Who knows? Hopefully they're remembered. But like, what are you doing? Like, how is it preserved? What are you doing that preserves that sort of, how are you feeding the well, you know? Or are you so stuck in the academia? Are you so stuck in the books? Are you so bound into the bindings, as so buried in the books, that you're not actually trying to practice it and you're not actually trying to living it, you know? It's one of those things, you know what I mean? It's one of those things. Scholarly types and when it comes to the academics of it all, tremendous amount of value there. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to take away from the value of the academics of it. It gives you something to work off of. But we are modern heathens. We live in modern times. What are we doing to preserve the integrity of the traditions of old in modern times, and then developing things that our descendants can build from, right? We live in saga times. I've said it. Eric Shervin has said it on the Ravens call. Probably other pagans that I don't know of that may mirror or echo the same things that I'm saying. We live in saga times. These are the times that we live in, where songs will be sung later on. And we also live in times where the things that pagans are doing are garnering the attention of the sacred. I actually fully believe that. You know, I'm not the type to go and be like, well, you are called because Odin wants you specifically, individually, or Freya wants you, or Thor wants you, whatever. No, I feel like the attention to the gods is being garnered by pagans nowadays because of the overture of gestures, the focus on things. There's so many people now in the day that are focusing on their pagan practices that it can't be ignored, right? The ripple in the pond is so vast that it's reaching out into those areas. And that's my own UPG. Okay. Don't take that and don't quote me or whatever on it. Don't try and be like, well, Jesse said it, so therefore that's heathen things in 2020. That's not it. But if you look at the fact that historically speaking, gestures to the gods, gift to the gods, bloat, sacrifice, all that sort of thing was done at a community level, at a tribal level, where there were more than just one or two people involved. It was a larger scale sort of thing that garnered the gods' attention, that kind of raised that beacon and that gave that sort of attention to the sacred, to focus on us in the profane. That sort of thing is happening now. There are so many people being drawn to this path in various ways and for various reasons that there's enough focus being given that I can't help but think that because of that is why the sacred are taking notice. Nightshade says that many are blinded by Ossetru, specifically in the U.S. Stephen McNallen, mentioning Stephen McNallen, Ossetru has become so corrupted, hence the shift of so many towards continental heathenry. Yeah, so Stephen McNallen. I've never once name dropped anybody that I can recall. Like, well, I've name dropped some people on this channel for good reasons. Stephen McNallen, ASA, who's that? Chainmail, Idrid Thorson. Yeah, these figures, like, and that's the thing, like these guys and gals, like these folks have put themselves out there as reputable individuals. You know what I mean? I mentioned Stephen McNallen, I think I said ASA, I meant AFA, Ossetru Folk Assembly. Let me just go on record here by saying this. All right. And there are 15 people watching live across wherever. Okay. And I will gladly go on record to saying this. All right. It's out here. Do with it what you will. I am not convinced that anything with regards to the AFA or Stephen McNallen is worth your time or effort. Not. Exceptionally folkish in their approach, which inherently is racist at best. Okay. Is everybody tied to the AFA racist? I can't say, and I won't say. But inherently speaking, the things that I've seen coming from that organization, not worth your time. Not worth your time. don't even get into it. Okay. And I will gladly go on record. So if this segment of this podcast, if this segment of this live stream gets clipped, put out there in the interwebs or whatever, I will back it up. You can email me, you can message me, you can @ me on Twitter, you can tag me on Facebook, you can send me a I don't know what, wherever. I stand by it. Okay. I've actually known people um, who've had ties to the AFA and tried to write off their less than glamorous past or whatever. And their deeds, those individual deeds of those people who have tried to do that, speak volumes. So you can say what you want, but your deeds speak greater volumes. So we are our deeds. Okay. And Midgard Musings has always stood since its inception in 2018 as being accepting of folks. There's a fine line between universalist, heathens. But here's the thing: my stance on folkish heathenry is that you're adding some glit and glimmer, glit and glamour. Glimmer is not well all that. Yeah, you're glimmer and glamour, glit and glamour. You're adding some glit and glamour to things that does not need to be added to. If you're folkish, it's racism. It's racism. It's racism. Okay? Because there is nothing that you can convince me, historically or otherwise, that is going to prove to me that I have to be white European in order to venerate Germanic gods. So if you think that you have to be Germanic, you have to be white European, you have to be Northern European, you have to have any sort of ancestral ties to venerate the gods and this and that, if you think that, there's this really cool feature. You can unlike my Facebook page, you can unfollow me on Twitter, you can unsubscribe to my YouTube channel. I don't need you here. Fact. Okay. Nightshade is mentioning the truth. AFA, Universalists are believing that the same things, except the racist groups, folkish heathens, are broken into 3 categories: non-racist, non-ethno, non-racist. What are we even talking about right now? So okay, believe you have some Germanic blood. Give me a reason why that you should have some Germanic blood in order to venerate the gods. Why? Give me a good reason why. Why should my because because here's the thing. So much of heathenry is tied to ancestral veneration, ancestral heritage, ancestral worship. And I use the term worship a bit lightly, right? But look at me, okay? I am probably the epitomation. Blonde hair, blue eyed, okay? By the looks of me, I should only be worried about Germanic heathenry. I am as much Northern European as I am Mediterranean, because believe it or not, my mother's side of the family is largely Italian, half Italian and half German. But so why am I not drawn to the Roman pagan past? Why am I not observing a Roman pagan pursuit of things? You know what I mean? because I've felt a draw and I felt a pull to a certain thing, and that is the gravity well within me pulling me towards that side of things, right? So, do I have to have it? No, no. Did I expect it, Nightshade? I don't expect a whole lot. I don't expect a whole lot. I come out here and I do these sort of things for the hopefully for the edification and for the benefit of not just myself but for everybody here. You know what I mean? Um, Look at this! Look at this freaking nose, you guys. Look at this freaking. Is that a Roman nose or what? Why am I not? Why am I not sacrificing to Apollo? Why am I not sacrificing to, the Roman gods and Mercury and all these various pagan Roman gods because of this sucker right here? You know what I mean? Come on. Literally, come on. Binds you to the DNA and ancestral past. You do not have to be 100%, but it connects you with those who lived in the past. Their rights. Chainmail is your comment has some nuances of things that I want to touch upon, right? So you're saying that our blood binds us to the past, right? Which it does. We are here because of the actions of our ancestors, right? I've seen a meme on Facebook that we are the result of 1,000 loves. Well, that's a bit delusional. I don't think there was 1,000 loves that resulted in the existence of me. I think so-and-so hooked up with so-and-so, and then that person hooked up with that person, and then next thing you know, bing, bang, boom, life finds a way. And here we are. Now, is my interest, is my draw, is my pull, the gravity well, is my interest, is the pull towards the Germanic gods because of my ancestry? Well, let me tell you this. I didn't even focus on that whole aspect of my life until my life had I was in my 20s. No, I was in my 30s. Okay? Before I even decided that was the path that I wanted to go. So all of my ancestral ties, everything that was inherently in me, the way it pulled me in that direction, right, was there my whole life. I just didn't maybe notice it, or it didn't quite speak to me. So the Germanic side of things, does it have to be there? No, I don't think it has to be. Does it help? Does it give you some sort of direction? Does it help shift the focus one way or the other? Yeah, possibly. But it's not required, right? You could be 75% Germanic, you can be 76% Scandinavian, you could be 37% Roman, you could be, 23% Amazon, whatever. My whole thing is this. With organizations like AFA and all these focus folks, right? Is they're like, well, you have to be Germanic because it's the culture and it's the religion and it's the this and that of your people. Well, what is even that? What is it? Your people? We're all mutts. Ain't none of you watching me right now, me included, that can say that you are 100% this thing, that, or the other, right? So do what you want. Be drawn to what you want to be drawn to. You know what I mean? Ain't none of you out here watching right now, myself included, that are 100% Germanic that can say, well, yes, I, should be following a pagan path because of my ancestors, because of this, that, or the other. Because... No, you're not 100% anything, and you're a mutt. We're all mutts. right? So do what you want, all right? Pretty sure if I and so many people I've seen it, like these DNA tests, right? People want to get stuck on this DNA testing thing. Like, I've done a video actually here on this channel about the power of blood and what our, blood ties mean and the power of blood. Some people are so stuck on our ancestral ties through blood, and they don't think about the fact that, look at things like adoption. Look at things like um, people who have become a part of a family through no ancestral ties through blood, but the weaving of weird, the connection in the web has become something between that person. I'm gonna give you a classic and perfect example, right? My wife is adopted. Her biological mother had absolutely nothing to do with her upbringing, growth, or anything as a child. My uncle, my dad's brother, was adopted. Had absolutely nothing to do with his biological folk, right? But because of that adoption, but because of that acceptance into the family unit through adoption, weird is tied. And so there are deeper things involved, right? People like to say blood is thicker than water. The blood of the womb is thicker than the water of the covenant, or the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, is the full and exact quote. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. So there are things that you can be tied to familial ties, right? Through adoption, through these various things, that just because you don't have ancestral blood ties to these things, those connections are now existent in the well, and they now exist in the well of Urd, the Urdabrunner, the here and now, things that will transcend through life. It's deep stuff. Like, it's deep stuff, and it's a whole other mentality of things. It's a worldview approach of things like that. But I'm missing a lot of the comments. Hopefully, people are getting responses to things. David Beck, we are all mutts. David Beck, I don't think I recognized you. I'm reading the live chat. Hail and welcome. Thank you so much for commenting. An hour and 20 minutes in, ladies and gentlemen. This was going to be just kind of like a Friday night live, just let's just chill, talk about things. But this is some heavy duty stuff, and this is the type of stuff that can make or break a lot of folks. You know what I mean? Back to the offering, says Patrick Welsh. What matters is in the heart. You can't go wrong. Skyly Sullivan believes that the gods call who they choose. And that is a very common ideal or idea. I don't say idea, ideal. It's a very common thing that people think about nowadays, that the gods call to those whom they will. I particularly and personally don't think that an individual can garner the attention of the sacred in such a way. I'm one person out of umpteen million or billion whatever people on this planet. Why the heck would I have why would the gods be so focused on me? That's just me though, right? The gods call to whom they will. I think, and me personally, again, this is me. I think that our approach to our religious practices, our spirituality, is coming from our ancestors. It's coming from something within us, not necessarily the sacred, but it's spiritual, right? It's not something that's coming from the gods, but it's coming from something within us and something that's tied closely to us, our ancestors. That's what I personally think. I'm not discounting what you think, but by any means, Skyly or anybody else that thinks that. This is just my opinion. You share your opinion, I share mine. This is where I think of it as, is that it's not necessarily the gods calling us to anything. It's that our ancestors are like, hey, bro, let's do this thing. Listen to what I'm saying. Let's get back to the roots, back home, right? Because guess what? The tree grows at the root level. And if the roots are so displaced and they're too shallow that there is no strength in their depth, the tree falls over and there's no growth. So that's just my take on it. You know what I mean? My own opinion on it. So don't take it for anything beyond that. My opinion is that the reason why folks are doing what they're doing is that there's an ancestral pull, something inside of us, something that goes back to times before us, right? Godfrey Bear is a bear and he's here for the show. Well, pop some more popcorn, my friend, because the show is just getting started. When I say that we're an hour and 20 minutes in, I feel like that's child's play. This is amateur hour, ladies and gentlemen. I've done 3-4 hour live streams on various things for this, but yeah, here we are. Sean Rowland, hail and welcome. Star, hail and welcome. Where and what kind of mead do I get for Yule? Says Chainmail. Well, fortunately in the part of Tennessee where I live, our liquor stores carry a pretty good variety of mead. Not the Chaucer type stuff, not that cheap stuff. The Dunks, Mirrored, that type of thing is pretty good. Also, if you're in the Middle Tennessee area, follow me on Facebook, send me a message on Facebook, and I might be able to connect you with a locally sourced mead provider. So that's how you do that whole thing, if that's what you're looking at. Cheers and Skull, Skyly Sullivan, who puts the nice little sketch emoji over there. Very nice, very, very, very kind. So thank you for that. Yes, yes, and yes. Institution sending the heart emoji. Big old heart emoji for you and everybody else watching. Look at that. Look at that. I'm like, I know the symbols of things or whatever. It's a big freaking heart emoji, right? Back at you. Thank you so much. Anything warm says Jorsta Mogni Olofsson. Hey, I know who that is. Is that J.M. Olofsson? Is that J.M. Olofsson trying to disguise himself here in my live stream? Got you, man. I'm watching you. I know who you are. If this is Jorsta Mogni Olofsson. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. You may be able to disguise yourself on the big screen, but my friend, the eye is watching. And that's, I'm being silly. Don't take me seriously right now, ladies and gentlemen. New account. Ha 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 ha. Not new to me though. Okay. Really fun, guys. Really fun Friday night. This is awesome. You guys are awesome. Super chat is enabled for the live stream. If you guys want to donate to the channel monetarily, you can do so through super chat. My system is so slow that if I try to share links to you right now, you'll see it like 10 minutes from now. So all you got to do is see any of my videos uploaded on YouTube. Linktree will tell you all the ways that you can support the channel. You can become a patron on Patreon. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of malarkey. Buy merch on Teespring. Did you know that? Did you even know that I have merchandise? It's pretty cool. I'm gonna say I own some of it. It's pretty cool. It helps support the channel. I'm glad for you to be here too, Patrick. Drinking horns are hard to buy because they are not sanitary. Chains mail. Let me tell you something. I've got a over here. You can't really tell, but like right there, you see that drinking horn right there? Where the gods dwell. Go on Facebook. Where the gods dwell. Matter of fact, I'm going to man, everything is so slow while I'm streaming. I'm going to try and find the place that I got that drinking horn, because it is absolutely sanitary, and they are local, out of Georgia, Tennessee, this respective area, where the gods dwell. That horn right there, I've had that sucker for the last 5-6 years. Absolutely sanitary. So if anybody that you're buying from that's giving you drinking horns is saying that it's not sanitary, how? Right? You coat the thing with beeswax, you do the whole bit, and you're fine. That horn right over there, this one right here that I'm pointing to right now, okay, has been shared in ritual a numerous amount of times. And guess what? My internet's just being ridiculous. I can't even pull it up. But when I do, and when I can, it's where the gods dwell. He does amazing carvings on drinking horns and things like that. So check him out. As soon as I'm able to, I will post the link in the live chat. Sorry that my internet's being ridiculous and I can't post it in real time. Guess who's here? Derek Pierce. Nuh-uh. Get out. Derek Pierce. Bruh. Come on now. Is that the Derek Pierce? The Derek Pierce who I met in Tennessee at a Burger King not more than a year or two ago? Is that the one and same Derek Pierce? Because if it is, that's amazing. So hail and welcome to the live stream. It is the Derek Pierce. Yeah. The one and same. Already knew. So we're here streaming live on a Friday night. I'm just reading through some of the live comments and stuff. Honestly, ourselves, I've been heathen for a long time. Sean Rowland reading the comments. And all of our issues are because the majority are not serious, just play game. So Sean Rowland brings up a good point. People aren't serious. People aren't taking this whole thing seriously. There's a huge aesthetic appeal to this whole thing, right? Ever since Vikings, 5, 6, 7 years ago, however long it's been, ever since Vikings has like piqued the interest of a lot of folks, not for the sake of truly in learning about the cultural, religious aspects of things. They just like the whole machismo, brosa true, bleh, right? Type of stuff. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm here to tell you right now that there is more to this religious practice that focuses on the feminine than you may be willing to admit. the focus on the feminine in Germanic heathenry, the focus on the feminine in paganism in general, right? Women are life bringers, life givers. You know what I mean? Their role in various societies, Germanic included, when it comes to like the Volva, uh, Seithkona, that all the various like magical elements of things. The role of the feminine. Look at the Norns. The Norns are regarded as feminine. Uh, the past, present, and what will be Urt, Verdandi, and Skuld. You know, these are feminine figures. You know, look at that power. Look at the role of the feminine. You know, all these folks that like to get into this whole thing because of I'm a Viking, I grow a beard. Look at this garbage. Look at this garbage. You know what I mean? I've actually lost more hair over the last 5 years because of stress and stuff throughout my life. I can't even grow a full beard. Thank the gods I've still got some hair on my head. But let's get down to business. Let's get down to this whole masculinity, femininity, that sort of thing. You guys aren't even appreciating the prominent role of the feminine in our culture and in this religious approach to things. You know what I mean? Everybody's all like, yeah, Viking this, and I want to raid, and I'm a man, and you know what? Sit down. Sit down and shut up. Sit down and shut up for a minute. Learn a thing or two. You know what I mean? Pre-Christian conversion, Proto-Indo-European. Hey, William Schock. Hail and welcome. Shave the top of your head now. Well, Derek, the last I recall, you still had a pretty good beard, but you're the landscape going across the top here. Hey, we all got things, right? We all got things that we're going through. Like I said, this right here for me, nothing to write home about. Matter of fact, if you do write home about it, you can write the obituary. Jesse's beard died 2020. Rest in peace. Done. Am I mad about it? No. Am I upset about it? Does it hurt my feelings? Yeah, just a little bit. Just because I'm like, man, I figured, by the time I was, approaching my older years, that I would be like, bushy and growing things out a little bit more. Sure, whatever. It's all ego. It's all the ego. But man, the feminine, the role of the feminine, the role of the woman in the tribe, in the culture, in society. Absolutely important. So much about, look at Sumbul. I don't know if you guys know the ritual of Sumbul, right? And the role of the feminine, the role of the woman in Sumbul, right? It's historically backed that the woman is the woman of the hall, specifically the Birla, the woman who actually carries the mead cup. The role of the woman for Sumbul specifically is the caretaker, the keeper of the well. Very ritually important, the role of the woman is in Sumbul. And I've adopted this approach in our own tribal Sumbul practices, where instead of each individual member passing the horn, passing the cup, passing this, that, or the other in Sumbul, no, after you say your piece, after you do your thing, it passes back to the Valkyrie, it passes back to the woman figure, passes back to that feminine role. And then she is the caretaker of the well. She passes that horn to the next participant in the round of Sumbul. Very, very important. Those folks out here who are all about the brosatru, the macho man role. Sit down, little boy. Freya, Frigg, the mother, the woman, she has an important, strong role in heathenry. I'm telling you right now, you're missing out if you don't tap into that. You know what I mean? Jane Mail says the goddess Freya is the hottest woman ever seen in the world. you know, you know. Um, just reading through some of the comments, but yes, yes, I'm telling you, folks, right now, like the fact that it's so like masculine based or whatever, or masculine focused, like you are missing out, man. Like you are falling short of the mark. Everybody has a role. Everybody has an important role. You know. Um, Connor Borum. So I'm actually just I'm trying to read through the comments as quickly as I can. If anybody wants something highlighted, please use the super chat. But I do see Connor that is saying, "Hey Jesse, just curious, what gods do you work with the most?" Um, it kind of depends, Connor. But on a day to day, well, I say day to day, on a regular cycle, on a regular sort of rotation of things, Thor is and has always been um, my go-to guy for things because Thor is the everyman's god, historically speaking, and um, you know he's kind of the god for the middleman, the cultivator, the farmer, the blacksmith, the middle class. Thor is the protector of both gods and man. So Thor has been one who I've worked with, and he's kind of the big brother type, you know, um, willing to be there at any given point, but also at a with a very strong presence. He's kind of the type for me in my own ritual practices who have been that support, but also the one to be like smack you upside the head, smack some sense into you. So Thor, um, Freyr. Freyr has been one that I like to work with a lot ritually, um, because of the whole fertility thing, cultivating life, bringing life, fortune, and fertility to every aspect. So Thor, Freyr, and Odin. But I'm gonna go out and say, just watch yourself. Know what you're getting into when you get into working with Odin in your ritual. I kind of took that. I took that leap. I jumped off that pier early on in my own way, and it's been the madness, the the passion, the diabolical aspects of Odin and everything have been a part of my life ever since then. So just be mindful of that and be wary of that and understand what you're getting yourself into when you get into that. If you so choose to delve into the Odin veneration, right? Just my personal thing, just my personal insight, my personal opinion. Um, Tyr has been one that I have also worked with intermittently for various and specific reasons. When I first started doing a lot of these live streams, I actually have been swatted a number of times, which if nobody knows what that is, you can Google it, SWAT, YouTube creators, whatever. So I've had law enforcement invade my personal sacred space, like break into my home. And I say break into my home, like the door was unlocked. They didn't like kick the door in. But I've had guns drawn on me. I've had law enforcement come at me because people have done nefarious and dastardly things during my live stream to garner the attention of local law enforcement. So I have worked for those types of things with Tyr for right action, justice, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? So Thor, Freyr, Odin, Tyr have been some of my bigger sacred figures to work with personally and in the tribal aspect of things. Thank you for watching, Derek. Hope to see you again soon. Discussion of modern healing versus reconstruction history. Yeah. So I mean, look. Just looking at, I think it was at William. It's a discussion of modern heathenry versus reconstructionist. I'm very open with what I say when I say that I am not a hardcore reconstructionist heathen, and I am also not all like willy-nilly, neo-pagan when it comes to things. I draw a lot from my with my heathen approaches to things that are historically based, but I'm not like 100% hardcore recon. I don't think, at least. That's not where I've found myself to be. Because I think that there's value to UPG. I think that there's value to things that you cannot necessarily hold or find historical basis on because it doesn't exist. But some of the major like holy tides and things like that, like, yeah, I like to focus on the historical approaches to that. That's kind of my thing. Mark Kusler says Odin is tricky as Loki, but a whole lot smarter. Oh man, you said the L word, the whole Loki thing. Yeah, that's a fun discussion. You know what I mean? Yeah. We've had a number. I've done a deity discussion on both Loki and Odin, and over the years in my heathen growth, have actually learned a lot about the similarities between Odin and Loki, just because of their ties in some of the mythology and that sort of thing. Like if you look at very infamous poem in the Poetica Locusana, you hear about the fact that Odin will not drink. Odin, no drink is accepted by Odin without a drink given to Loki as well. Something similar, something along those lines, and that is quite often interpreted in modern times is that you will not offer to Odin, you will not bloat to Odin, you will not encounter, you will not do anything with regards to the Allfather without making some sort of acceptance in your ritual to Loki, right? It's a very interesting dynamic when it comes to that. That poem specifically, Locusena, to me is kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back when it came to the mythology aspect of things, because up to that point, Loki had been, kind of a problem, kind of a nuisance, necessary evil, if you will. But Locusena is like that straw that broke the camel's back, right? He just barges into Aegir's hall. He's like, "Hey, by the way," he starts, smack talking everybody. But Odin, being Odin, is like, well, we need to provide him a space in this, in this hall because of our pact. At one point, where blood was shared, and we are blood brothers, and therefore there will be no, drink shared with me that is not shared with Loki. But ultimately speaking, the final thing that kind of like broke the camel's back at the end of that point was the whole Balder debacle. You know what I mean? The whole Balder thing. And Loki's presence and Loki's existence in the lore is, quite honestly, I think, historically speaking, entirely post conversion, the Viking Age, and everything else. He has this element of destruction, but for a necessary cause. I know, like, and there's even people in my tribe who I talk to and I encounter with that work with Loki specifically in their own individual cultic practices. It's not something that we like to adopt in our tribal um, rituals or anything like that, but it's very complex dynamic, and the similarities between Odin and Loki, like Odin being so diabolical, Loki being the one that is like the necessary evil, if you will, or the forces of chaos that are needed for change. Like there are definite similarities. I can see that, where a lot of people will look at the similarities between Odin and Loki and be like, you know what, they're kind of they're not too different, you know. But I'm careful, and I'm cautious about incorporating his presence in tribal affairs, because historically and mythologically, whatever, when you look at it, like, yes, he's been a part of the tribe of the Aesir, but yet everything that he's done has been, you know, a bit damaging to the integrity of the tribe. Yes, some of the things that he's done have been uh, helped develop things that have built the strength of the tribe. Like, for instance, the wall around Asgard. Where he disguises himself as a mare and breeds um, Sleipnir. You know, so a lot of the things that Loki has done to uh, you know bring some sort of chaos, disaster elements to the tribe. He's ended up fixing in his own way, but I'm cautious about the introduction of Loki elements into a tribal approach to things, and that's just my own idea. You know what I mean? Um, Chaos tattoo on my hand. Yeah, you did. You noticed. Yes. Chainmail. This is a chaos tattoo, and I've actually had that tattoo on my hand for a long time. I actually, funny story about this tattoo. I got this tattoo in my home, in my house, a decade or more ago, shortly after I moved to Tennessee. Um, a lot of my ink that I've gotten has the only piece of tattoo ink that I've gotten locally in the area of Tennessee that I live in now is on my chest. Everything else has been from a decade or so ago. So yes, this tattoo was inked on me in my home a decade or so ago, before I was ever heathen. But I love the chaos aspect. You know what I mean? I love the chaos theory. Um, so again, it's one of those things, like, as you go through life, as you learn certain things, and as you develop your worldview or whatever, you do certain things that are inspiring to you at the time. That's kind of what that was. Um, William Schuck, discussion of both are true and Norse pagan or being Viking. Uh, I'm looking at some of the comments that have come through. Paganisms being Viking or a reconstructionist modernity and logic will dictate that we're evolved and old principles apply, but we have more resources available to us in various methods in how we venerate, worship, and live out of this heathen way of life. Yeah, yeah, a lot of ways, yes. Um, it's when you say old principles and things like that, it's there's a lot that's missed because it's not documented. We don't know a lot of things from a certain period of time or prior. We're drawing from certain things that are documented from a certain period of time onward. You know, um, Dory sauce and the giants and good is good for heathens and chaos. Folks got our Yule tree set up for this Christmas. It says, just reading through some of the comments. Yeah, the Krampusnacht. That's Germanic. That's a Germanic culture, folk culture sort of thing. Not necessarily, I think, Norse 100%. The whole Krampusnacht thing, because that's kind of the time frame that we're in right now, where Krampusnacht is I think it's a more modern. Uh, when I say modern, I mean like not within the last necessarily century, but within like the last few centuries. It's not necessarily old heathen practices, but there are some aspects. It's folklore. You know what I mean? There's things that are fun to incorporate in your own heathen practices or whatever, like the Krampus um, culture and thing. Like I saw something recently, and it actually gets shared almost every year about this Welsh culture where there's like this horse head skull or whatever that comes, and you have to like rap battle between you and it, and then if you fail, it comes in and it steals all your liquor and whatever. Like these are cool, like you know things that exist around this time of year for various people and various things that just make a fun Yuletide traditions and stuff like that. Uh, Star says you tried mead once and it was good times. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I've tried mead more than once, and it's good times every time. It's like that. I don't know that was it Cobra, whatever. It's works 90% of the time, every time, or whatever. Like, yeah, mead is like the thing that just kind of gets the party rolling. You know what I mean? Especially if you get it locally sourced. I know a guy who's done mead. Makes this thing called mead shine. It's like It's like a distilled uh, version of mead, and then the alcohol content gets boosted up pretty pretty high. So it's awesome. But yeah, mead is good. Mead is good. Mead is good 100% of the time, every time. I mean, even if it's bad, like bad mead. I've never had a bad. I've never had bad mead. I've just had mead that's like not as good as the mead that I've had before. You know what I mean? Like it's if it's available publicly, you can go to the liquor store or whatever and get it, then it may be good, it may not be, but if you get it locally sourced or whatever, then it's like top tier, like top shelf. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. Um, so here's the deal, guys. I've been sitting here for almost 2 hours. I need a bathroom break, but I am not going to stop the live stream. So if you give me like a minute, 60 seconds, please don't leave the live stream. I will be back in like 60 seconds. Let me just take a quick bathroom break. Um, you know the drill. Sometimes you gotta relieve yourself. You do the same, and I will come back and we will see where we go from here. I'm willing to keep this thing going, or to keep this live stream going for however long. Don't go away. I will be back, and I hope you'll be here when I do. So I'll see you back here in about a minute. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back after that brief intermission. Hope everybody is still around. We've retained pretty much everybody. Um, so how's everybody doing? See what we got here. John Watkins, hello. Smoke 'em if you got 'em, says Godfrey Berry. Heck yeah, buddy. Respond here on my messages. Do. You know what? I think it's been a great live stream. I think it actually has been. Sean Rowland says, food fight. This is the part where shows up and starts playing on the keyboard or something. Yeah. So I think this has been a really great live stream. I hope you guys and gals have enjoyed it. Been a fun time. But I think I'm ready to maybe call it a night. What do you think? Glad to speak in person. Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, watching the live stream here. I do hope to make these things, and I've said it so many times before, I do hope to make these things a bit more regular. My weeks are just, you never know what's going on nowadays. My work schedule is pretty standard and pretty solid. But in terms of what happens on a Friday night or a Saturday night or whatever, like, you just never know. But you're here. You've been here. It's been 2 hours of live stream, and this has been great. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. But I do think we're going to go ahead and not resume, but what's the word I'm looking for? end the live stream. I don't know. It sounds like it sounds so bleh, right? I'm gonna end the live stream. Anyway, moving on to bigger and better things. It's Friday night. You guys enjoy your night. Do your thing. Have fun. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Don't forget to comment on all of my YouTube videos. Subscribe to the channel. Biggest and foremost thing. Subscribe to the channel, please. Share the videos around. Support the social media stuff that you know as much as you want. It's appreciated. So here we go. We're going to end the live stream for Friday night. We'll see you guys in the next one. And thank you all so much for your support. Hail and have a good one.